Hi, and thank you for watching my videos. What you're looking at is a Bosch combination forced hot water and tankless water heater combination boiler. This particular model is the KWB42, also called the 151. It's the largest combination heating and hot water boiler that currently Bosch makes for Greenstar. Here is our tankless coil connection and a mixing valve, a pressure relief valve, and drain. We're using a direct vent application here, so the exhaust and the intake come directly off the top of the boiler. This is the exhaust, this is the intake. And as you can see, we use all long sweep 90s, and we're labeled. That's the intake, that's the exhaust, which is code in Massachusetts. Another code in Massachusetts is the use of indicating primer. So some people use the purple primer, but a great new invention has come along, and it's an ultraviolet primer. So right now, even though this looks as if it was just glued without primer, you can see when you flash the ultraviolet light on it that we did in fact prime it. So this is more of an aesthetic thing where it keeps makes the boiler look better instead of having all the purple primer gooped all over the nice white fittings. Here we have our combination backflow preventer, Calefi pressure regulator, and so here's our heating supply and return. There's some light on it now, you can see it. Heating supply and return, and gas pipe. So right now the gas is off because we're awaiting an inspector, and this is our gas gauge, and we have 3 pounds on the system. When the inspector comes here and looks at our gauge, we will then take this gauge down and put a plug in. So also what you see down here is a neutralizing drum, and there's different ways of doing this. Some companies sell a complete neutralizer, and I just make my own with a drum trap. It's very simple. You just get a drum trap, throw some stones in there that will neutralize the condensate from this boiler, because this is a condensing boiler, and run the drain right into it, and then into the condensate pump, and then the pump will just discharge it. Back on the hydronic heating side again, we have a spiral vent air eliminator and a ECM Takeo pump. So this is a single zone application, and as you can see, this whole boiler and circulator has not been wired yet. I left extra ports so that if another zone wanted to be added, they can just take that plug out and go from there. So this Bosch boiler comes all set up for a single zone, ready to be wired, and no other control is necessary for a single zone. Here's our access door where we can make all our adjustments. I can't show you that because it hasn't been wired. I'll probably make another video with it after it's been wired. So on this Bosch Greenstar boiler, this is just the front panel to access the controls. However, and it's got a magnetic catch on it to actually get into the unit. The top right here, sheet metal, just pulls out, and I'll show you on this one. It's hard to do it with one hand. So the top just pulls out, and you can see it's just a little pull catch, and it snaps right in there. No tools are necessary. So the top pulls up, and the bottom is just a hinge. So it's not even a hinge, it's just a catch. So you can just pick it up right after you unsnap the top. Here's a look inside. So we have a flat plate heat exchanger back there because it's a combi boiler, and we have our circulating pump, our condensate. In here we have our low loss header, and this boiler can be used with or without a low loss header. Because it has its own pump, to set it up as a primary secondary system, which is how we're using it. This cap comes off, and this plunger gets removed out of that low loss header, and that's all you have to do. So it's ready to go. So here we have inside, taking a look inside the boiler. Here's our expansion tank on the far left. These are one of the few boilers that currently have an internal expansion tank. So if the system is small enough, there's no need for an additional expansion tank because this one has its own internal one. Here's our gas valve. And here's our burner combustion chamber. And this is all condensing, so it makes a lot of water when it runs. The new Bosch Greenstar boilers are a cinch to service, and they make a special brush for it. I've pulled some apart that have, fired for a few years, and you open them up inside and they're crystal clear inside. They're just a extremely clean firing boiler. And so by taking these bolts off, exposes the combustion chamber. And the special brush available from Bosch is the recommended way of cleaning these.